You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network.
This is Rod Mahood, your in-game voice of the Niagara IceDogs, and you're listening to the Dog Pound Podcast on the Armchair GM Sports Network, your podcast source for all game analysis, team interviews, and up-to-date news regarding the Niagara IceDogs.
Perlini! Overtime! IceDogs win! They score! Verhaeghe was also jamming away. It's a power play goal for the IceDogs. And they score! Ho-Sang, first goal as an IceDog. Strom stops Shipley. Richie scores! He gets it to Akil Thomas. Thomas has the angle coming in. He scores!
Welcome into a very special edition of the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs, proudly brought to you by Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family in all four of their great Niagara region locations. Brendan Caputo here, and I'm pleased to welcome on another IceDogs alumni for our Alumni Series. We're going to welcome on Brendan Perlini on today's show. Thank you to everybody that's watching us on the video version on YouTube. Make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, and smash that bell. And thank you to everybody that's tuned in on your favorite on-demand audio platform. As well, make sure to give us a follow at Dog Pound Podcast on X to stay up to date with all of our IceDogs coverage, as well as Instagram and TikTok, and our YouTube channel here on the Armchair GM Sports Network. So with that said, as I mentioned there at the beginning, we've got another great IceDogs alum and former NHL player here in Brendan Perlini. Played quite a few seasons here with the Niagara IceDogs. Brendan, I know you're all over the place right now. You've spent some time in Costa Rica. You're back in Chicago right now. Really appreciate you taking the time to come on today. And I know there's a lot of IceDog fans here that still are, trying to keep tabs on you, and still you're one of the fan favorites here that everybody will look back on as one of the IceDogs' great alum.
No, yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. It's gonna be good to just kind of sort of dive down almost for me a little bit nostalgic, talking about those days and whatnot. And there were a lot of fun times back in Niagara. So still, have a lot of friends and obviously billets back there and whatnot. So a lot of good people around that Niagara area, and I wish I could get back more, but yeah, thanks, man, for having me on the podcast. It's really cool.
Absolutely. We always love to have the IceDogs alumni to talk about those memories there back at the Jack and the Meridian Center. You're one of the only players that's had the opportunity to play in both. So we'll get into that. We'll talk about your NHL career a little bit and a couple other cool things you've been able to do as well here in the outside of hockey that we'll get into as well. So should be a jam-packed alumni episode here. So with that said, Brendan, before we get going about the IceDogs portion of it, tell us what you've been up to these days. I know you're not currently signed right now with a team, kind of weighing your options there, training and things like that. And as I mentioned, you've been back and forth a few different places. So at the current moment, what's Brendan Perlini up to right now?
Yeah, oh man, a lot. So over the course of the last, I don't know, call it 6 months or so. Since playing last season, I was with Charlotte and kind of got to the end of the season. And I just had this weird sort of I guess feeling in a way where it just felt like life was going, man. It was just the seasons go by, they go by quick, and you finish one and then it's like take a few weeks off. Okay, you're training for the next, and then you go to training camp, and then you do up another season. And so it was a lot. And I felt like, I'm like, you know what? I just need to slow down a bit here and get away from hockey for a while. I ended up going out to Costa Rica, like you said there, and, kind of moving out there for a few months and did a couple of retreats and a couple of different things, just living life a little bit different. And yeah, it was really, really fun. It just kind of gave me everything I was looking for. And, kind of realized along the way too that I'm in a pretty fortunate position of having played a lot of years in the NHL to now sort of, I guess, pick and choose what's next as far as, whether it be Europe or still over here or whatever. But more so in the sense of, I don't think I really have to go and like grind as far as like, and I don't even like using that word because it's not really like grind per se, but just more sense of like, hey, if you want to play a half a season, you can play a half a season. You want to play a quarter of a season, 3/4 of a season. It's not like you got to sign always July 1st or whatever. You can do what you want to do, right? There's nobody really holding a gun to your head. And for the longest time, I felt like there almost was in that way, right? But yeah, man, I've been, kind of during that time doing a lot of YouTube stuff, and yeah, it's been really, really fun the last 6 months, let's call it. And now back training, as you said there, and hopefully, soon kind of feeling like I'm getting to that point now where I've got my sort of 3-4 weeks training in, and I feel almost good to go as far as going somewhere. So yeah, we kind of cross that bridge now as it approaches.
While you've just brought it up there, go ahead and plug what you're doing there on your YouTube channel. It's some interesting stuff there, kind of, going over some things that you've been able to do during your NHL career.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, so for anyone who doesn't, hasn't followed or whatnot, I'm at Brendan Perlini on everything. Just type in my name on YouTube, it'll come up. And really, like, the videos are, very, I guess, somewhat hockey based, but I've done vlogs. I do a lot of golf stuff. I would say the main two things are hockey and golf on the channel, and I really see myself getting into the golf side of things. We really shot a couple episodes right when I got back from Costa Rica, end of October, like just as the weather was still kind of nice. And yeah, really, we got a couple filmers now and stuff, and really stepping up production. And like, I didn't know anything about it. And how all this started to begin with was just, I think when you're playing, it's very easy. Like, if I compare it to the Niagara days, right? We go to the arena, we kind of do our thing, we practice, and then you're at home for like the longest time. You're not really in school. I guess when you're younger, you are, but when you get to that kind of age, we weren't really taking college classes. So for me, it was like, we played a lot of FIFA, a lot of Xbox, stuff like that. And, I think I needed that during that time, but it definitely taught me over the years. I got to the point of like, okay, like, instead of just coming home and playing Xbox, what can I do to like make something, else of my day besides just being a hockey guy. Right. So, over this I've tried everything the last really couple years of like, I wrote a couple courses. I wrote a course on breathwork, on pickleball, on, a bunch of different stuff really. And that wasn't really it. And then, I kind of tried the YouTube a little bit. I released a few videos, didn't have a clue what I was doing. Didn't have a clue how to film, anything like that. Sort of liked it. I knew I was like really creative in that. Like me and my brother just did, like, when we were growing up, funny videos all the time. We would always kind of mess around and do that stuff. So I knew there was something there creatively, but I actually shied away from it because I think it took a lot of like in the hockey realm, I think the locker room can almost be a bit of a dangerous place in a way because there's a lot of egos, there's a lot of chirping, whatever going on. And I didn't really know how my peers would react to me, like, kind of diving into this. So I sort of like, I released a few videos, then I stepped back for like a while, and got a few months into the season last year in Charlotte. And then I just started, like, we were on the road one day and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to like mess around with a couple videos. I was doing some golf ones, put some tracers on them and putting a couple reels together for Instagram. I was like, man, I'm really enjoying this again, and just enjoying the aspect of learning, cutting, editing, all that kind of thing. So I just did it the rest of the season. That was from December, January, February, March, April. And then I was like, okay, well, I feel like I got enough stuff here that, like, once the season ends, like, boom, I can just like release some stuff. And I was at a good point, like, basically in my mind to say, like, you know what, like, who cares what guys are going to think? And if they like it, great. If they don't, who cares, And that's kind of how it started. And I got over that hump. And then once I just got over the hump, and the first video went like crazy, man. The rating NHL players, did I think it's at like 500,000 views or like today, and it just showed me from there on. I was like, whoa, like, okay, people, like, I know that there's something there for this. So, but that's beside the point. And to make a long story short, I really enjoy it, and it's very passionate about it, and it's something to do outside the arena for me. So it's been a lot of fun for sure.
I think it's cool because people always wonder what happens during an NHL journey, like all the things that you do behind the scenes. And it's nice to be able to pull back the curtain a little bit and for you to be transparent with people about what it's really like. Everybody sees the glory and the on-ice stuff, but there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes and the travel and everything that you guys do. You invest your entire life into it, and there's so much that you're able to do, that maybe when you look back on it now that you've kind of taken some time off, that you really say, okay, that I did some really cool things, and that people, just average people like us, wouldn't know, not being on the road and being in those situations, or even fans at home.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the thing, right? Like I think too, people don't know like the travel of like, you play in Boston, as soon as the game is done, it's like boom, straight to the airport. And then, you're on the flight for, it depends where you're going next, but it'll be an hour, 2 hours, then you bus or whatever the next next hotel. So you have the times come in like chunks, like a chunk of an hour and a half on the plane, then another 30-40 minutes on the bus or whatever to get to the hotel. And so that time can be used like in a really good way, right? To do a lot of this stuff, or it can be used to just kind of mess around, and like guys would be on their phone just kind of doing nothing, checking Instagram, whatever, and I learned, I had a great talk with a guy from the NHLPA actually years back. I think I might have maybe I just left Niagara at the time, and they do those like NHLPA kind of rookie showcases. And God, I forget who the heck it was. Not Jay McKee. Trying to think of the guy's name. But he sort of talked about at the end of his career, he went back to school and he was taking engineering courses, and he was playing while taking engineering, which is like a lot. And he said to me, like, that created, a mental distraction of like, really, he was so focused on doing the coursework that when the time came to leave, doing the schoolwork and go back to hockey, it was like, oh, thank God, I can just go play hockey. And you would really enjoy it and have fun, because it was almost just like I guess I don't even know how to say it, but
a chore.
Yeah. It just like, it made it a lot more fun, because sometimes your whole world can be consumed by hockey. You watch it on TV, you're at the rink a couple hours a day, breaking down film, like everything's about like, how can I get better? How can I get better? That it's too much. And for me, it was totally too much of like, that's why I used to have the outlet back in the day in junior of like play FIFA. Like I needed to do something different at the end of the day, let me just say this, I guess. At the end of the day, I think all of us in general, like we're people first, we're humans first. Our specialty is like down the list, of maybe it's number 3 or 4, right? It might be a dad or a father, or, there's a lot of other priorities that come before that. So it just took me a little bit to understand that, and to know that, hey, this other side actually benefits me a lot in life. So yeah, man, it's been really, really fun. It's been good.
Yeah, I think it's important for anybody to have something else that they do outside of their job to enjoy themselves, because I think hockey, we're lucky enough to play, cover it, be around the sport, but again, your whole life just can't be hockey, and maybe having something else like that gets you back more in love with the game, as you said, because it's just such something that becomes a chore and becomes something that you don't love as much, which is unfortunate, because we all love the game of hockey, but when you consume it 24/7, you just need a break from it once in a while.
Yeah, no, you said it right there. That's exactly it, and that goes for anything, right? You do a bit of anything to it, like, got to have balance in your life. And so yeah, it's taken me. I think I've always understood that, but it's taken me a little bit to find like another passion outside of hockey, of like what I generally do enjoy, doing and creating. And like with this, it feels like I'm, building something and getting in now, especially like I was looking, while I'm playing, I'm like, okay, well, that was another thing that the gentleman from the NHLPA had told me, like a lot of guys just finish, and I've seen this too, where, teammates, good friends of mine, they're playing, injury, and then it's like, okay, I'm done. Like, and they're still younger guys, early 30s, whatever. And it's just like they don't know what to do with themselves. So for me, it was like, okay, well, understand that. You kind of have this now. Just go for it. Take a leap of faith and do. It's not like I'm saying, I've got to be the biggest YouTuber. It's just doing something different that stimulates you in a different way. And for me, right now, I'm playing, so I have that advantage of like people still want to meet me. I'm a professional hockey player, and when you're retired, you're always known as the former player, right? And not too many people really like care too much about that. So I looked at the opportunity and I'm like, okay, well, I'm 27, I still got a lot of years to go here, and I can build something up. And then who knows, maybe by the time I'm ready to finish, I can either transition full time into this or, whatever. We'll see. So that was kind of the other thing with it for sure.
Yeah, and people still it's crazy because you're still in your late 20s there, so you still got a long way to go there.
Totally.
I'm 32 now, so again, you make me feel old in that you're you've already done so much in your career. But regardless of that, I want to take us back a little bit, Brendan, because with it being the official podcast of the IceDogs, everybody knows the great career you had in junior hockey as well that made you a first-round pick by the then Phoenix Coyotes, now Utah Hockey Club, which is a whole other situation. But when you look back at those times, and all the alumni I talk to, they all talk about the camaraderie with the guys and just having no care in the world at that time in your life because you're a teenager. You don't really think of the long-term things of adult responsibilities and things like that, but you're trying to become a pro hockey player and things like that. Like, what was your mindset back then when you were trying to become a first-round pick in the NHL, and then once you got drafted, trying to prove that you could take that next step to pro hockey? Like, looking back on it, what were your memories of those times?
Yeah, it's man, there's a lot of good memories in the OHL. And sorry, I'm getting a phone call from my mom. I got a decline on there. Yeah, no, there's some good memories, man. Like, you just come across, like, I think the one thing for me is, like, I'm a very, like, people person in the sense of came across so many good guys, and I'd love to keep in touch with everyone. I think it's pretty tough, like, both ways. I try my best to reach out to guys, and a lot of guys actually you just, I don't know, they end up kind of doing their thing, and whether they don't want to reach out back, whatever. But I actually did, a good friend of mine, Aaron Hayden, obviously, who played in Niagara for a long time, for I think 5 years. He did one more year than me, and we did his wedding this summer. So,
oh, cool.
Billy Burke and his wife came by, who was assistant coach for us back then and whatnot. It was cool, kind of to reminisce. And we had Nedeljkovic, Ned was there as well, and so yeah, it was a good time, just kind of going over some old stories and whatnot. And, like, and funny enough, that we're talking about this, because he tried to get a hold of me last night, and then I was just kind of telling my girlfriend some stories about him, and we were kind of reminiscent of what we used to get up to back in the day. And it's good, man. Yeah, like, it just, what a fun time, really. And you don't really you don't know that, like, that time is, like, pretty much one of the funnest times you're gonna have playing. And for me, I'm not gonna say I regret looking back on things. I think maybe if I look back, like, if I was to do it again, I might have a bit more fun. But then also, you play the line, because I was so, like, I've always been like this. Like, my whole journey was to get to the NHL. And so everything was about that, man. It was, I didn't really go out or have fun and stuff in Niagara at all. It was always myself and Alex Mikulovic, like, especially in my last year. He just lived down the street from me. But Miku, it was just like, get there, train, stay on the ice, work on your shot, work on your skating. It was just, everything was like, I got to get better. So anything that inhibited that, as far as, like, going out and drinking or doing this and doing that, I just didn't indulge one bit. I was like, nah, I don't even, out of sight, out of mind, I don't even care one bit about that. I'm going to the NHL, like, I would really have my sights set on that. And, come to kind of realize, like, you get in pro and obviously see it's a lot different. And then you realize, like, oh, okay, guys got families, they got kids now. They don't hang out the same way. So you kind of look back at junior and like, wow, okay, this is different. And I had, a lot of fun hanging around guys in junior doing that kind of stuff because you don't really do that in pro. Like everyone goes to the rink, and then obviously a guy's not going to hang out and like we used to go to the pool hall by what's the mall there called? God, I forget the big mall.
The Penn Center. Yep.
Yeah. So right across from there is a bulk barn, and behind that is that pool hall there. So we used to go in there, we play pool, then we go watch a movie, then and there'd be like 6, 7 of us or something, and like a guy with 3 kids now isn't going to do that, right? Like it's different in pro. So those are a lot of the little things that you kind of juggle, and I think it's an adjustment too. Like I seen last year, a good friend of mine in Charlotte, he just came from junior, and I could tell he was like struggling a bit with that. He's like, man, what do you do like during the days? I'm like, this is pro, man. You got to just find something to do. You almost have even more time. Because back then too, you're still like you're grade 11, 12, you're going to school, then you're getting out, you're going to practice. So, but yeah, man, some really, really good times. I so enjoyed it. It was awesome. And even, what, my half a season in Barrie too, like it wasn't really the same as Niagara, but grateful for that experience too. And even just like getting traded to Niagara and seeing like, oh, okay, these are the difference in organizations here. And, one side kind of does this and these guys sort of cater more towards this. So I learned so much over those years, man. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, you mentioned there the trade. You were a first-round pick by the Barrie Colts, and then you were sent to the Niagara IceDogs for Mitchell Theoret and a conditional second-round pick to bring you to Niagara, where you obviously spent the better part of 4 seasons there. That 12-13 season, you came over. You've played in a lot of playoff games, seen a lot of playoff games in the OHL with the Niagara IceDogs, and something that they're currently trying to work their way back into is one of those perennial playoff teams. When you first got traded from Barrie to Niagara, I know it's a divisional rival as well, but what were your first impressions of coming down to St. Catharines, and how long did it take you into your tenure? Did it really start to feel like home down there?
Yeah, so I got a couple different stories for you here. Remind me about Theoret if I get off track here, because I have a story about him. But I think the trade, as far as like, actually, you guys will probably laugh at this, everyone out there. I didn't want to go to Niagara. Like, I was basically what happened. I was in school and I got a call from my agent. We just got back from like Christmas break, played 1-2 games or something like that. It was like early January, and I got a call from my agent. He said, hey, yeah, they're trying to move you and stuff. And I was very 50-50 college and OHL. And we basically turned down a lot of colleges to go to Barrie, like pretty much hand chose to go there. And it just really didn't work out. And, so was very shocked when I got that call from my agent to say that they basically given up on you and they want to move you. And, we're 2-3 months in. And so I remember kind of saying to him, like, we were kind of going over it and we're like, nah, like, we're not leaving. I was going to stick it out in Barrie. And then they kind of came to me and basically said, like, look, we're not going to play you. Like, you're not going to play much here at all. And that was kind of the tipping point for me where I actually was like, okay, well, I'm ready to go. But there was 2 different offers on the table. There was Niagara and there was Windsor. And my parents live in Detroit. So I actually wanted to go to Windsor. And because it was 30 minutes from home there. It was really close. And the deal ended up falling through. I think from what I heard was Reichel had offered, like, he tried to offer in like a 14th round pick or something for me. Just tried to lowball the heck out of them. And so they didn't take it, accepted obviously going to Niagara. And that was kind of second choice and whatnot, but knew that because I also looked at Niagara too. That was the tail end of Strome, Ritchie, Dougie Hamilton was there. So for me, looking at it, I was like, Windsor was kind of almost rebuilding. They didn't really have any big guys. But Niagara still had those guys where I kind of looked and I was like, you know what? If I go there, I might be playing second fiddle again to those guys instead of like in Barrie, it was Scheifele, Anthony Camara, all these guys playing on the World Junior team. So I'm like, I'm going to get stuck again and I'll get buried, in Niagara too. And, they kind of said to me coming over that, no, like we're going to give you an opportunity. And right from the start, man, like Marty Williamson, like I always liked Marty, and, he treated me so well over my time there, but really just, I remember not going from like not even playing in Barrie or playing like few shifts a game to first game I was with Strom and Richie. And it was like, whoa, okay. And that like just gave me so much confidence, and I could go out and just, even at 16, like Marty was like, yeah, just give the puck to them and go to the net and do your thing. And, it was like, wow, he just gave me like free reign to kind of do that. And, over that course of that last half of the season there, built up some good friendships with different guys and played with them, I think, for about a month and a bit. And then kind of found some chemistry with DeFruzia and Verhaeghe. And then we kind of settled in to finish the year. And then when we came back, that was already our line for the next year. But yeah, man, that's kind of the story about that. But I will say on the Theo Rhett thing here real quick. So I was, this was pretty funny. I was playing in Edmonton at the time. I guess it's 2 or 3 years now. We were on the road in like second half of the season in Florida. We were staying in Fort Lauderdale, and I have a good buddy of mine who caddies on the PGA Tour, and they were there that week. It was the Thursday, like it was the opening day. So he said, yeah, well, if you want to come over here and watch them, I'll leave you some tickets. So I said, yeah, all right. And my parents just they flew out to watch our game in Florida and spend a week in Florida and stuff. So I said, oh, meet me at the golf. And we went to the golf. And anyway, we're sitting on, I think it was like hole number 12 or something. We're waiting for these groups to kind of come through. And my buddy's group is like 2 behind. So it was like Ricky Fowler's group and then another one and then my buddy. So one group comes through, we watch them. The second one kind of comes through, and there was this Canadian guy on the tee, like, and the caddy had like a bib on and then a little like Canadian flag beside it. So I said to my dad, like, oh, this Canadian guy. And he's like, oh, okay. And so we're watching them, and we're at like the furthest point of the course. So there's nobody watching these guys. It's just me, my dad, and my mom around the tee. And so this guy hits, they all start walking off the tee. And I'm kind of like looking, I happen to lock eyes with one of the caddies. And he kind of like looks at me, and I give him a look like that back. And then like he like weirdly, I don't know, he kind of like did this with his hat or something. And I seen like his full face. And I'm like, I don't know if you can swear or not on this. No?
You can do whatever you want.
Well, I kind of said to myself, I'm like, oh, that's Theo Rhett. And I said, Theo. And he kind of looked like that, and he came over and stuff. He's like, hey, what the hell are you doing here? I'm like, what are you doing here? He is caddying on the PGA Tour now for, God, what the heck's the guy's name? Taylor Pendriff, which is so cool. And, yeah, we kind of had just a little chat right there as he was walking down the fairway. And I'm like, how funny is that, man? My parents they don't really like know that, or who the guy would be. And I was like, that's the guy I got traded for in the OHL. That's pretty funny. So yeah, we randomly, met up at the golf there a few years later and whatnot. But I thought that'd be a good story. People like. That's
a heck of a story that you ended up seeing the guy that you were traded for back for the Barrie Colts and Niagara IceDogs.
Yeah. And in a completely different, at a golf tournament, and he's caddying.
That's funny. That's unbelievable. Adds a little bit more to that trade all these years later, but great stuff there. And we're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to come back. We're going to hear more from Brendan Perlini about a little bit more about his IceDogs career, a little bit about his NHL career as well. And again, a great discussion here. So stay right here. We're right back on the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs, proudly brought to you by Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family in all 4 of the great Niagara region locations. Back after this.
Cully's Original Sports Bar is your ultimate destination for unbeatable food, drinks, and sports action in Niagara. Whether you're gearing up for a big game, winding down after a day at the office, or just looking for a lively spot to catch up with friends, Cully's has you covered. Their menu is packed with mouth-watering options, from classic pub favorites to unique chef specials, all served alongside a wide selection of craft beers, cocktails, and daily drink deals. With multiple TVs broadcasting the latest sports events, you won't miss a minute of the action, no matter where you sit. Cully's Original Sports Bar, a proud supporter of Niagara IceDogs hockey. Whether you're gearing up for the game or celebrating a big win, Cully's is the place to be before and after every IceDogs matchup. Check out their menu online at cullys.com. Give them a call at 905-684-1771 or check them out on Facebook, X, or Instagram for more information. Located at 223 St. Paul Street in the heart of downtown St. Catharines, just minutes from the Meridian Center. Open daily Sunday to Thursday till midnight and Friday to Saturday till 2 a.m. for those late night eaters. Cully's, it happens here.
Did you know that the global pet food stores in the Niagara region are all independently owned by members of the local community? We believe that pets are truly part of the family and are a source of joy in everyday homes around the world. Yet that living, loving experience usually doesn't happen all on its own, but takes extra effort to create and maintain. And we want you to know that the owners and staff at Global Pet Foods are always there to help you keep it going, any way we can, because we believe. Proud show sponsor of the Dog Pound podcast, the official podcast of the Niagara IceDogs. We hope to see you at one of the following locations across Niagara: 3643 Portage Road in Niagara Falls, 160 Highway 20 in Font Hill, as well as 400 Scott Street and 344 Glendale Avenue in St. Catharines. Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family.
The great guys over at Hockey Stick Man are sponsoring this video. If you play hockey but are sick of paying upwards of $400 for top-end sticks, check these guys out. There's seriously no better place to shop. The guys are fun, easy, and offer a stress-free experience from start to finish. They get pro stock sticks from major junior teams right up to the NHL teams and sell them for half the price that the same stick would sell for at a retail store. To further support their mission of saving hockey families money, they offer closeout options, which entail taking last year's retail models and blowing them out for less than wholesale prices. It's literally the best prices on the internet for their sticks. And the best sticks of all may be their Pro Blackout series, which provide a top-end stick with no graphics and literally less than half the price of a branded top-end retail model. It's always been their best-selling stick despite super cool pro stock options. It's a no-brainer to shop with these guys, and trust me, they are beauties. Head over to hockeystickman.ca/thearmchairgm and get $15 off your first order. That's hockeystickman.ca/thearmchairgm to get an additional $15 off your first order when you sign up on their website. Check out our friends at Hockey Stick Man.
Are you currently looking for work in the Niagara region? If so, you owe it to yourself to check out the services provided by the Niagara Employment Help Center, located at 6100 Thorold Stone Road in Niagara Falls. Their many free services include a fully staffed resource area open to the public, resume and cover letter writing, local labor market information, job search strategies, assistance with clarifying employment, training, and career goals, employment counseling and job search support, and Better Jobs Ontario information and registration assistance. Check out their website at ehc.on.ca or call 905-358-0021 for more information. The Niagara Employment Help Center, helping people find work since 1983.
This Employment Ontario program is funded by the Government of Ontario. Fuel up your day with Gale's Gas Bars. They're your go-to gas station in the Niagara region. Remember, at Gale's, they're not just a gas station, they're a local tradition. Whether you're hitting the road or staying cozy at home, choose Gale's. Gale's Gas Bars provide reliable fuel that keeps you moving. Stop in for quality you can trust and service with a smile. Don't settle for less. Head to Gale's Gas Bars today. Because when it comes to fuel, you're going to Gale's! Learn more at gales.ca.
This is Kevin He.
This is Brady Waslin.
This is Ethan Zadek.
This is Andre Loshko.
It's Owen Flores.
This is the Dog Pound Podcast.
The official podcast of the Niagara IceDogs.
Welcome back to the Dog Pound Podcast and our alumni chat with IceDogs great Brendan Perlini, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs. Brendan Caputo here with you. Guys, make sure to give us a follow on X at Dog Pound Podcast. Stay up to date with all of our IceDog coverage, as well as thank you to those today watching us on the video version on YouTube. Make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, and smash that bell to stay up to date with all of our YouTube content. And thank you to everybody tuning in today on your favorite on-demand audio platform. So, continuing on here with our chat with Brendan Perlini. It's been great so far in segment one. Learned a lot about him off the ice. and we're going to chat more about his IceDogs career. But Brendan, as we continue on here talking about the IceDogs portion of your career, looking at your statistics that obviously made you a first-round pick in the NHL, 71 points in 13-14, and then in 14-15 you had 60 points in 43 games, so a better point-per-game average there. And then the great playoff run that you had in 15-16 going to the OHL finals where you had 45 points in 57 games, 9 playoff points in 14 games. When you look back at those years in Niagara and you talk about Marty Williamson, who's obviously been a great coach for so many great IceDogs alum that have gone on to do great things, and now Marty's with the Barrie Colts, 4 IceDog players in that time frame, in that era. What are the memories when you look back on those years that you spent with the IceDogs in St. Catharines that you think of most fondly when you have a moment?
Oh yeah, you know what? There's so many, man. I think a lot of, and I mentioned earlier, just hanging out with guys, really kind of, I think when you're around that age too, buzzing around just the Niagara region of Niagara Falls, guys would go down to the casino and stuff, and like just different areas, Niagara on the Lake, St. Catharines, like where I used to live in Port Dalhousie, and like there's so many good spots around there. And I think I've realized since I've left, because I've gone back a couple of times, like in the summertime, to see old friends and billets and whatnot. But, you don't really know because the weather's not great during that time. So how nice a place it is in the summer too is like totally like flipped, like I didn't even know there was like water down in Port Dalhousie, it's amazing really. So I wish I would have, even spent a bit more time around that area. But yeah, I guess, you had mentioned there at least about the Meridian Center and the Jack, and like the Jack was, I think, is one of my favorite all-time rinks for sure. It just, I think it's tough too because we have family history. Like my dad played in St. Catharines for St. Catharines Saints when he was with Toronto. So, played in the American League there. He played in that arena, and it just everything he wore the same number the first year, 29. Like that's why I wore 29. I couldn't get 11. So he wore that, in that arena, and it felt cool, man. It felt really cool to like a very homey vibe. Like I will say the Burks did an awesome job of like making it very family orientated. And that's what a lot of people from the outside wouldn't see is, they just did a good job of like when I got traded there, like from coming from Barrie, it was like I felt almost like a little bit of a piece of meat where they didn't really care and they get rid of you, blah blah blah. Where when I came to Niagara, like they really really helped me and like almost in a like they were just made a family atmosphere, and all the players were similar to my age, and yeah, it was so much fun in that regard. I'm so grateful I got a chance to play in the Jack, and I love that arena. For me to like play fast, they could shoot from anywhere, so tight, and you couldn't hide in there either. And I think that's what helped me in my draft season a lot too, because I think a lot of scouts, looked at that and was like, hey, like this is a rink where like you got to make plays quick, you got to be on your toes, you really can't like hide in this arena at all. You're forced to play because of how quick and in your face guys are. I'm not gonna lie, I sort of struggled a little bit when we went to Meridian Center. I didn't really enjoy it as much. It kind of like it just lost the aura for me, and I don't really know what it was. It just felt like there wasn't that same buzz in the game. And I think with the arena, sometimes when it's so fresh and new, people are like, they're up getting food and they're over, in the freaking wherever. Like it felt like they were everywhere but watching the game. Whereas the Jack, it was like, you just went there for hockey. The sound echoed. And so that'll definitely always be one of my favorite all-time arenas for sure. And, I mentioned obviously we had the great run there in our last year, and a little unfortunate that we couldn't really finish her off, but it's always cool to just, you look back on a lot of, like I said earlier, a lot of different guys you play with where it's like, man, they, some really good friends where you talk to and you just pick right back up like that with them. So super grateful, man, for those times. What a great place Niagara is. for anyone living in that area, like, trust me, I've traveled the world and, seen a lot of different places, and St. Catharines, the, Niagara region is really cool. You should be very fortunate to live there for sure.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Jack Gaycliff was demolished last year, Brendan.
I know,
so,
yeah. You know what? I'm actually kicking myself because my my billet dad, Chris, had said, too, there was an opportunity to maybe get a seat from in there, and I wanted to get, like, seat number 11, and I just never really followed through, and then, boom, it was gone, and I was like, oh, man, I missed it. I would have loved that. It would have been really cool.
Yeah, but the memories are always there from that arena, and now it's the 10th year of the Meridian Center. They're celebrating their 10th year anniversary now already. So how time flies there.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy, man. It's funny to, like, I wonder too if they've changed anything since I've been in the dressing room there and whatnot. I'd love to see it again and whatnot. But it is, you know what? Like, I mean, it was definitely, it was time, as far as, they needed a new arena and whatnot. So I don't, there's none of me that doesn't understand that or whatever. Like, for the community and just for, the buzz of everything, they definitely created, like, a really nice arena and a good area and stuff, and, help kind of develop that downtown even more and build it kind of back up, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely, and it's all a hub now, and they have the bridge that goes over into the the strip that they have down there on St. Paul Street, and it becomes like a whole evening night out for everybody that comes down to the Meridian Center. But again, it's just not a lot of those old school barns are left in the league. I think Sudbury and Owen Sound are the only ones left with those old school rinks. So lucky enough that you were able to play some fun years there. Speaking about that run there, Brendan, like we have your overtime goal in our intro still of our
Cool.
show.
Which one?
The one against Ottawa. The overtime winner.
Turn around the net. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Steve Clark had a good call on that one, and it's still in the intro of our show. Do you remember vividly about that moment? Because to me, that was like the signature goal of your IceDogs career.
I do. Yeah. I mean, yeah, we had some good series, man. I remember, like, God, I think we got Ottawa like 3 years in a row or something in the playoffs. It always felt like we somehow drew them. And I remember, like, we had a great, like, team bonding experience, because I think that year, that was the third year, or that was the fourth year?
I think that was the third year.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I remember just, like, being in the playoffs there. I think we got absolutely waxed the first two games. I want to say it was like 7-2 and 8-1 or something. And I remember, like, when after the first game we got kind of crushed, we had, like, a great team bonding experience around the hotel and stuff. And guys just, kind of dicking around, doing leaners on each other's doors, where, for anyone who doesn't know that, like, filling a bucket up of water and knocking on the door, and a guy opens it. We just completely messed around, and it actually was, like, really good for us, where we had a great team bonding thing, and then we came back and we won 4 in a row, and I think that was part of it. The goal was in one of those games. But yeah, there was a lot, man. I have so many good times, like, of thinking about all that run, and even like, I think it was Kingston too was, like, the number 1 seed that year in my last year when we made the run to the final. And, we beat them, whatever, like 4-0 or something like that. And, yeah, I just remember a lot of good times on the road with the guys there too. And yeah, it's just, it's weird, because I'm trying to think of something for you, like a specific story, but everything's just kind of flashing at different points.
Probably all clumped together.
Yeah. Especially, like, such a while ago. So, but yeah, it was some good fun. And, like, what made it, I think, even more special for me too, is that I grew up with a lot of guys that were on the team. Brian Manta, I played with Bell Tire. Obviously, I mentioned Aaron Hayden earlier. I played with him in Bell Tire for 2 years. Nedeljkovic was on our Bell Tire team. Sieben Eller, I didn't play with Siebes, like, on our team, but he played for Cleveland. We played against each other a lot, and then we did a couple selects things together. Vince Dunn was with my agent, so we did a couple agency camps together. Who else am I missing? Like Ben Hughes. He wasn't really around, Hughesy, for that, but my first couple of years, Hughesy was a part of our agency as well. Like, there were so many guys that, like, we were close in that regard. just for the fact that outside stuff, of agents or whatever, or younger teams. So it made it cool where like it was a really good group, of guys, and it's cool to see. I try to keep up with everyone these days, but life kind of gets in the way. But really do hope if any of those guys are listening, give me a call and we'll chop it up again for sure.
Yeah, we've actually got a couple other guys that were teammates of yours, Anthony DeFruscia and Johnny Schaefer, lined up coming on the show.
Awesome.
Eventually,
well, please let both those guys know I said hi and whatnot. I got to catch up with Frush. I seen him in COVID, maybe 2020, 2021 summer. I kind of getting mixed up. I forget which one, but he was kind of getting into the real estate at the time. But I haven't seen him since. And Frush was always one of my favorite teammates. We played together on a line for a long time, So I'd love to catch up with him.
He's still the career leader in penalty minutes for the IceDogs, which he doesn't want to admit sometimes. Yeah,
I didn't know that. That's actually very surprising.
Yeah, so he was that heart and soul type player, and he actually filled in for color commentary for Ed Burkholder this past weekend. So he made his color commentary debut with Steve Clark on the TV broadcast. Yeah, so
wow, good for him. That's awesome. I'll send him a message for sure.
Yeah, it's been like you look at that team, like it was just so loaded. Like Josh Hosang, Jordan Maletta, yourself, Anthony DeFruscia, Vince Dunn, Graham Knott, a young Ben Jones on that team, Alex Nedeljkovic obviously was a big part of that team, and so many others. Like when you look at that run there, where you unfortunately lost to the London Knights, it was a pretty stacked team they had with Marner and Tkachuk and those guys, and we won't mention anything else about the London Knights on this show, but as far as your guys' team, like I know Nedeljkovic was, really like the backbone of the team, but as far as that whole collective group, what made you guys so special that season?
Yeah, you know what? I think we actually underperformed during the regular season. And even like that year, I remember being really frustrated that year because I think it was just like I wanted to be in pro so bad. And I just remember not enjoying it as much during the regular season. Like we weren't doing like as well as we should have. We should have been a top team. I mean, at least finishing first, second, third. I think we finished 6th or something like that, 5 or 6. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember like we didn't really do too well, and then something just clicked in the playoffs, and I think Marty was like he was. It did well in the playoffs to an extent, but then when we got steamrolled by London in the finals, it was almost, I felt like it was a bit of how our setup, like we did really well kind of rolling everyone. You mentioned we had a lot of guys, myself, Sanger, Nodder, all them kind of guys like that. So we had it somewhat split of like, the ice time of like the year prior, me and Verhaeghe were like, we would log a ton of minutes in ice. And then it was actually tougher because your ice time would come down, and then you knew that when you go from 20 minutes a game to maybe 15 a game, it's a lot. You're missing a lot. Maybe we weren't starting some power plays; they were throwing another power play out, and so that actually like helped us as a team wise. Like we kind of got on this roll in the playoffs, but then when we got to London, like they just played it totally different. Marner, Devo, and I think it was Tkachuk. They played about 40 minutes a game. And I think we should have totally went back to that. Like we were trying to match up fourth line against them. And stuff. Like it just totally didn't work at all. And I actually always, I thought about that for a while after, I'm not going to lie. Like it stayed with me where I'm like, I wonder, if we played that any different. Cause I really thought we could have beat them. And it's weird. You sort of look at their team and you look at ours, and like at the time, I think we had actually a lot better team. They just kind of had, them 3 guys and whatnot. And that was kind of it really. And yeah, like I said, they just played the piss out of them 40 minutes a game or something. And they were just, that's what junior hockey kind of is. Eventually you find a breakaway or you find something, and, so, but yeah, it was a very cool run to the finals, and grateful for them time, man. Just playing in the playoffs around there and the buzz around the city and stuff is really, really cool. And one of these days, man, they're gonna, they'll make it and they'll go all the way and they'll win the Memorial Cup for sure. Like I don't doubt it. It's just as far as a player going there. Let me just say this too, like something. I'm not really gonna go into the story, which like Barrie had a pick before Niagara. I think Niagara was later in my draft. So I didn't obviously end up picking to choose to go there, but I will say, like, for anyone who gets the opportunity of, like, they're turning down college and they're going to choose to go to Niagara, man, what a good spot to just live, to play, the setup of the arena, the people. Like, it's just such a great town. Whereas Barrie, to me, like, I chose it and stuff, but it felt like it was just a town off the highway. It didn't feel like it had the same, like, buzz as a, Niagara region, for sure. Put it this way, if I had my choice to live in Canada right now, that would be up there for sure. Totally.
Wow, you need to be a spokesperson here for the mayors here locally, but
yeah, get me as the mayor.
For sure. I think you'd give them a run for their money, but definitely Niagara is a special place, and I'm glad that you were able to kind of recognize that during your hockey career. And yeah, you did take the London Knights to overtime in the one game, and they steamrolled everybody else in the Memorial Cup. So I think you guys gave them their best challenge that year. So I guess
I'd like to think too. I was suspended for the first 2 games, so I'd like to think that maybe I would have made at least a little bit of an impact if I played the first 2 games. And it's tough, man. If you go down 2-0 like that, boom, that third one is so crucial. And you go down 3. And I don't know if I came back in the third game, or I'm not sure. I forget what I got. I got suspended in the series prior, the clincher, I think. And then I don't know if it was a 2-game suspension or 3. Only suspension I ever taken in my life. It just so happened to be going into the finals. Yeah,
that's how it works. But no, definitely really interesting, and hopefully the IceDogs can raise another Bobby Orr trophy. That's the last time that they've been able to have that honor, and then hopefully the J. Ross Robertson Cup after that. But you guys paved the way for so many, inspired so many young hockey players in the Niagara region, in a hockey hotbed, to want to become NHL players, become Niagara IceDogs, and just play the game that we all love. So we appreciate your contributions to the Niagara region, and everything that you were able to give us with our memories and things like that. We got a little bit of time here, so I want to quickly go over just a few things in your NHL career, or your pro hockey career, that have kind of stuck out. First off, like the moment of being drafted, like by Arizona in the first round. You're still playing for Niagara in that sense, but being a first round pick in the NHL, I'm sure that's something you look back on now and say that you were so proud that you had that opportunity.
Oh man, yeah, for sure. And even, it's actually taken me a lot, because I mentioned, like, my mindset earlier. It was always like, what's next? What's next? And I think I was conditioned like that from very young, which in some ways has been unbelievable. I think it's got me to the point I'm at, but also in some ways, has been a detriment too, because I think, a lot of times I haven't given myself enough credit. And it's actually taken somebody like my girlfriend now. We've been together for about 1.5 years, 2 years or something like that. But she's not really from the hockey scene at all. So a lot of this is new to her. And even such a thing, like, I'll describe this, of in my draft year, I was on one of the cereal boxes, and I still have the cereal box and stuff. And, like, she kind of said, like, how, like, a 17-year-old, like, that's so not normal to be on a cereal box. But for me, that was all. It was like, this is all I ever know, so I was, like, expecting that and expecting to do these things. And so it was kind of just whatever. But to have someone now, I'm so grateful to share this experience, and for her to talk a little bit of clarity into me, to be like, hey, like, you're in a video game. Do you know how cool that is? And I've honestly, it's gone over my head so many times of how many cool circumstances I've got to do and be involved with, whether it be in junior or in pro, doing a lot of these stuff, and going out for dinner with guys and getting to play with a Jonathan Toews and becoming friends with him, and Patrick Kane, and, like, you name it, you know what I mean? Like, it's so cool to get these experience with all these guys. And now, obviously, sharing a lot of that in my YouTube, it does, like, it's sort of a recollection of, like, a couple times I caught myself where after the video, I'm like, oh yeah, like, shit, I did that, man. Like, that's pretty damn cool. So, as far as career goes, man, I'm super, super proud. Like, to answer your question of just the draft was one of the coolest things too, because it was the point of, like, over the course of the year, you worked your hardest, you went to the combine. I did Team Canada under 18s that year. And then it was just like, okay, everything's out of my hands now, and just sort of enjoy it. And to be with my dad, my mom, my brother, everyone else who was there to support me, like, that was just so cool, man. Yeah, it really was. And, you don't really, you just don't appreciate it at the time. And now going through it, I'm like, whoa, like it's a one-time only thing. I'll never get that opportunity to relive that again at that age and where I was in my life at that time. So it's, yeah, super, super grateful for all the experiences that I've had and for all the ones that are to come, for sure.
And you were born in England, but you did come over to Canada at a very young age, and you've been able to represent Canada a few times, World Juniors, Spengler Cup. Are there a few
Yes.
memories that stick out to you just about being able to don the Hockey Canada sweater?
Yeah, no, it's really cool. Yeah, I have a couple pictures around the house of myself in the uniform, and I get asked actually a lot of why I don't play for England because I have the English passport too. Um, I think obviously there's a lot of rules there of playing for one country than another, but my dream was always to play for Canada, man. Like, we're Canadian, Yeah, okay, we were born in, like, for me, I was born in the UK. My brother wasn't, but our family is Canadian. We're very. I say my hometown is Sault Ste. Marie. I think of myself as a proud Canadian and whatnot. So to be able to put that sweater on, yeah, it's just one experience to see how Hockey Canada does it, to see the lengths that they go to make it great for, like in the Spangler Cup. I'll give you an example. I played in that 2 years ago for Canada. I actually have the little thing right here in my office, just a little.
There
this
you
is
go.
The Spangler Cup thing. Yeah,
There it
Team
is.
Canada right there.
The nameplate.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just like, they kind of spare no expense as far as, flew my family over to watch the Spangler, put them up, paid for their flights, just like really top class kind of stuff. And I really want another go round because I've done the under 18s where we lost in the semifinals and then we won the bronze. I've done the World Juniors, we got knocked out in the quarters. And then the Spangler, we went freaking 0-3 and crashed out. And so I haven't had like tremendous team success with Canada, but I'd love another crack at it. And I'm almost hoping that the NHL guys get barred from the Olympics again, so I can try and get in the Olympics. So yeah, but yeah, like I said, I'd love another crack at it, and hopefully I get that chance to represent it at least one more time. I'd love to do that.
Yeah, I'm sure the NHL guys would that would be unpopular for them. Like your buddy McDavid, who definitely wants to play in the Olympics with Team Canada. I know you got a chance to play with during your time in Edmonton. But I always say if you're good enough to play for Team Canada when it comes to hockey, you have that opportunity to do it. So obviously you were in that elite category at that time to be able to represent Canada. I quickly mentioned Edmonton there. I want to just quickly go through the list and then just give me basically, what was your favorite spot that you've been to so far through your pro career? You started in Arizona. You played in Tucson for their AHL affiliate. You played with the Chicago Blackhawks, the Detroit Red Wings. You went over to Switzerland for a season. You've played with the Edmonton Oilers, the Bakersfield Condors, the Chicago Wolves, and most recently the Charlotte Checkers. So I know you don't really have a time to step back and look at all those, but you've been through such a journey, such a grind, being able to be a pro hockey player through the years. What's been your favorite spot that you've been able to play at so far?
Oh man, yeah, that's such a hard one. Yeah, I think for me, and I get asked that actually quite a bit. I don't think there is a favorite spot. They all have good and bad. It's like, I guess compare a place like Arizona, like Phoenix, compared to Edmonton. While Phoenix, like Scottsdale area, we all lived there. The facility was okay. Didn't really get great fans as far as like coming to the arena, which the arena was in a bad location and stuff and yada yada. But unbelievable lifestyle. Like, enjoyed my golf out there, which was a nice getaway from the arena. Enjoyed having sun every day, sunny and 75, which was awesome. And then, you flip it on its head and you go to a place like Edmonton, which is polar opposite. Very, very cold, very dark, but great fans, super passionate, really got that hockey feel again I wasn't even really hardly anyone on the team, but, scored a couple goals early on. Then it was like you go to a mall, boom, you get recognized. And, in Arizona, Shane Doan wouldn't even get recognized. And he, played out there for 20 something years. Right. So it was cool. Yeah. He just got everything. And Chicago gave me a lot of that big city feel of like, oh, this is what it's like playing in a big American market. This is how it's like to move around the city and go. You get special access to go to these places and fancy dinners and blah, blah, blah. Like, it was just really cool, man. I got the best of everything. And then Detroit too. Detroit is a second home. I'm so honored, man, to wear that wing wheel. It wasn't, I always think back and I'm trying to get out of this trend a little bit because the team wasn't good and I myself didn't have a great year that year. But I try to look at the overall experience now of like, man, you grew up idolizing Fedorov and Datsuk, Zetterberg. You got a chance to wear that same sweater. It's like playing for the Yankees, And I totally just like it kind of hit me recently where I'm like, man, you did that. Like, and it's really cool. It's really cool to be able to say, I got that opportunity. And I sometimes feel in a way blessed to move around and get these experiences in different areas and meet people and so many good connections. Even Charlotte last year, man, met a ton of good people there and, golf wise and whatnot. Like I think like the path is meant to be, so I find it almost interesting, like in a way of a Shane Doan who played his whole career in one organization. I'm like, man, I actually feel more like better about myself that I went and experienced these things and learned how to navigate a locker room, going into a new room and what to expect. And yeah, it's very cool. It's very cool. Hopefully that kind of sums up a little bit of it, but yeah, that's kind of the best I can explain it, at least.
Yeah, it's been quite the journey. When you have we mentioned the tunnel vision, you don't really get to enjoy as much as maybe you did, in the moment. But I'm glad you're able to kind of reflect and have those things that you're proud of now. One more thing about your NHL career, the Winter Classic goal, 2019, January 1st, you scored in that outdoor game against the Boston Bruins in front of an amazing crowd. What was that moment like scoring? I'm sure that the ice was terrible and the vision wasn't great, but just the experience of playing in a Winter Classic and being able to score a goal in one.
Yeah, you know what? It's interesting because I always found like in like bigger games like that, I was able to play well. And I still feel like that of like, I just have a knack for those sort of games. Like I feel it inside of like, I know I'm going to score. And I had that going into the game. And I don't even know when the last time I had scored was before that, but I just knew that anything that's different, that like, there's a change, that's a different game. We're not playing it, there's no roof on the arena. There's like all these sort of different things. Sometimes guys can get really thrown off from the experience. Like they're like, whoa. For me, I sort of thrive in that chaos. And so I remember just coming in and being like, okay, I'm going to soak up every piece of like this whole experience. And when I walked out, like, we were going out to the rink for the game time, I remember just like, because we would do this long walk right back to the dressing room. I remember going out like first for warm up and just kind of like doing this, like just looking around, man, and just soaking it in how many people were there. And I did that every time I walked, like out for the first period and back, out for the second, back, third, back, like just really soaked everything in. And played a really good game and just super grateful that I actually played in one in Charlotte this year. That was my first one. And then we did an outdoor game in Charlotte, which I scored again in that one. And just super grateful to, get an experience like that too, where it's like, not many people get that, the boys in Arizona, they ain't getting that. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm super grateful to play for a couple Original Six franchises and be a part of a game like that. Cause it was really, really cool.
Yeah, maybe the team playing in the Winter Classic this year get Brendan Perlini a call and he'll score a goal for you.
Hey, man, sign me up.
Sign me up. I hate to bring it up last, but I know it was something that caught the hockey, the attention of the hockey world. Back in 2020, you had that unfortunate injury with the Detroit Red Wings, and the the situation with your eye. Now that you've been able to look back on it and you've gotten through that, everything's fine. How do you feel like more blessed that you were able to come on the other side of that and be able to obviously continue to have the eyesight in both of your eyes and just being able to continue on with life like normal?
Yeah, for sure. That happened in your barn there in behind
Buffalo.
you, Buffalo.
Yep,
Yeah,
you're right. I didn't want to bring that part up, but
no, I know. You know what? Well, it was Buffalo actually has a soft spot in my heart too, because I seen a lot of games there when I was in Niagara. You know, we used to go over and catch the odd game and stuff. So it was always kind of like, it was cool to have a team right there on your doorstep, because it was, you know, I would feel like, okay, I want to get to the NHL. I want to get there. And then I'd see a game and I'd kind of like study it in the stands and stuff. And, you know, so I always I feel like in a way, you know, a Niagara native, a Buffalo native, like I definitely have a soft spot for them. But yeah, as far as the incident goes, you know, everything, like, I think it was, this side. I don't know if you can see. Healed up really well. Doctor did an amazing job. I don't even know. I couldn't even tell you the doctor who did it, but you know, if he's out there listening, thank you very much. I appreciate it. What a scary kind of thing. Uncontrollable. It was a friend, obviously, Yoki Haru, who I play with in Chicago, and you know, I kind of went down, and Yoki's skate came up, and caught sliced through the nose and just nicked top of my eye. So I was good in that regard. But yeah, I think anytime you go through something like that, my brother actually, funny enough, 2 months ago got something very similar, where I think his was just on the side.
Oh, wow.
Skate came up, boom, hit it. And, you know, it just, I don't know. I guess to describe that full situation, I do feel blessed and grateful for that. But just life in general, of like, there's a lot of crazy stuff that goes on and happens. Man, look at Johnny Gaudreau and his brother. And I think since that, in the summer too, I've held on to this feeling of like, okay, every day I get up, man, I'm just going to like be super grateful for this opportunity that I get to open my eyes, get to move about, get to, you know, experience life again today. So, you know, obviously going through something like that was an eye-opening experience, but a lot of things in life, like, you know, I can't imagine what Johnny's family and stuff have gone through the last couple of months, and feel, you know, grateful to have my brother still doing his thing, my family, my girlfriend, everybody involved really. So, you know, when you compare it to a circumstance like that, it's very minimal, right?
Yo, absolutely. And again, it's been great being able to catch up with you today, Brendan. So many great stories about your journey through the OHL, through the AHL, through the NHL. You know, you've been all over. You've grinded away at a pro hockey career, and I'm sure wherever your next step is going to be somewhere special, because obviously you're always looking at what's next, and you like traveling and obviously being in many different places. You're in Chicago right now. But again, hopefully you get to be able to come back here to Niagara one day and see this team do really well. And I'm glad that you were able to give the IceDog fans and the listeners out there an insight onto what you're doing, and obviously keeping up to date with one of our most recent great alumni. So we really appreciate you taking the time today, and it's been a lot of fun catching up.
No, yeah, thanks again for having me. If you ever want to speak and have me back again, maybe next time we could talk wrestling, because I see that world heavyweight title to your right there.
Yeah, it's signed by Ric Flair too. So
no way, that's awesome, man.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
So cool. I was so mad last year. One last thing in Charlotte, that's his hometown, right? So they had, I think it was AEW or somebody rolled through town, and he was a part of it, but we were going on the road, so I was so mad that I was like, man, I would have definitely got in there, tried to get back downstage, try to meet him or something, legend.
Last thing, two quick things. One, Rod Mahood, the PA announcer for the IceDogs, great guy, does our intro for our show, said to say hi to you. You know, he's always watching.
Yeah, I love Rod.
Rod's
talked to him in a long time.
Yeah, Rod always stays in contact with the alumni too. And then also, you wore number 11 here in Niagara. Now the new captain, Kevin He, 4th round pick of the Winnipeg Jets, he's now wearing number 11 there. What would be your message to Kevin He now, as he's kind of taking on that torch and taking on the C, and now trying to player that goes on to do great things?
Yeah, I did see that there. I seen something popped up online the other day. I seen the kid wearing 11. I think number 1, he chose well with that number. There's a lot of luck in that number. So Yeah, no, you know what? Just have fun. Like everything that I talked about on the podcast, right? Where it's like those times go quick, soak it all in, man, enjoy it all up. Because you get to pro and the years just keep ticking by. You know, I can't believe I've already done 7, 8 years pro already. And like I said, I'm still 27, 28 years old. So it's a crazy experience. But yeah, really just enjoy all the time you guys got while you're young there, and enjoy school, just soak it all in.
Absolutely. So again, big thank you to IceDogs great alum and NHL player Brendan Perlini for jumping on today on our Dog Pound Podcast alumni episode. Thank you to everybody that tuned in today on the video version on YouTube and those who listened today on your favorite on-demand audio platform. Again, make sure to give us a follow at Dog Pound Podcast. And as well, we're going to be clipping this episode up on our Instagram and our TikTok as well for you guys with some great stuff that Brendan was able to give us today. So for Brendan Perlini, my name is Brendan Caputo. That's another episode of the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs, right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network. We'll talk to you again very soon. You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network.